If you are buying a Mazda 3, 6 or a CX-5 with the 2.2 Skyactiv diesel engine, you need to watch this video before you buy it, not as the owner of this CX-5. The reason for that, because you can avoid very huge bills in shortly after you just bought the car. Now let me switch the camera and show you why. The owner paid 5 bags for this car, £5,000, which on its own, it's not a bad thing. It has 119,000 on the clock, but if we take a closer look or a step forward to the engine bay, let me tell you 3 major flags you should see or notice straight away when you're buying these ones. Red flag number 1 is this cap, the radiator cap. It's not the OEM. If you see this, run, because it will cost you a fortune to fix that. So the reason for that being replaced for a non-OEM one, because the car has a head gasket issues, which I'm going to talk about a bit later in this video. Another major red flag, let's say number 2, if you see white dots around inside the engine bay, you can't see, usually you can see it on the engine beauty cover. In our case, you can't see it, so the dots are not here. I may include a clip or a picture of car with those dots. Major red flag number 3, if the engine bay is very cleaned thoroughly, because that is also a sign that those dots were there. They just cleaned it before they selling the car. And now let me talk about the head gasket problem. So how do I know the car has a head gasket problem, even just by looking at it? Basically, because of this cap. So why they replace it, the mechanics or whoever, because that's the cheapest thing to replace. I believe that costs maybe £5-10. And the reason behind it, because what they think that the original cap is not working anymore. So basically not letting the pressure or the the pressurized coolant flowing to the overflow reservoir. So that's why they replace it. They think that the cap is faulty and then not letting the pressure out, and then the pressure escapes from here and sprays the engine. However, that's not what's happening. The cap is functioning very well, so it's letting all the extra pressure and the coolant come in here. By the way, if you have a look at this one, this is not a good coolant. This is a pink coolant. The car is supposed to have a green coolant. It's stated on the original cap FL22, which is not this one. I'll show you. Let me bring another cap. So here is the original cap, and as I said, it says FL22 on the cap. That is the specification of the coolant which should go in, and it is green coolant. Some may argue you can put any coolant, any color, that doesn't matter. I don't care. In our workshop, in our garage, we always put the FL22, the correct coolant. Obviously, if the owner says he is okay with that, I don't care. It's his decision and his car. So basically, he is free to do whatever he wants to do. But we believe there is a reason for the specification. Different car manufacturers or brands have different. So that one, that's the G12, that's usually used in the VAG group cars. I know BMW has, I believe, G48, which is a bluish color. And also I've seen in the CX-5 or Mazda forums that the pink coolant or the different coolant can damage the turbo. I didn't try it. I don't have a knowledge of it, but it can happen. I don't want to try it definitely. So as I said, everybody is free to use whatever they want to use in the radiator, in the cooling system. If they want, I don't even care. They can use screen wash liquid. It's up to them. But back to the head gasket problem, how that happens. So as I said, it's letting the pressure and the coolant coming in here to the overflow reservoir. And then basically where the overspraying happens is not from this cap, but from here. It can't hold the pressure, and it just opens and it sprays everything with the coolant, and the white dots are the residue of the coolant sprayed into the engine bay. Now let me talk about the head gasket job. So head gasket job is very dependent or depending what else is wrong with the car. For example, the pure head gasket job with us is only the head gasket, the coolant, the cylinder head taken off, sent to the machine shop, pressure tested, get it skimmed, and then replaced, obviously new cylinder head bolts. So that is the pure or the cheapest head gasket job. Also, I want to say or tell, get the cylinder head to a machine shop where they can actually pressure test it before skimming, and they need to pressure test it on temperature. The reason for that, because the cylinder head may have a hairline cracks, which on temperature or at temperature they expand, meaning coolant can flow in there and escape, and even though you replace the head gasket, if the cylinder head is cracked, you did nothing, you will have the same problem again. So make sure you take it to a machine shop, the cylinder head to a machine shop where they pressure test it at temperature, confirm it has no cracks, no leaks, then you can get them the cylinder head skimmed. If anything else is wrong, for example, and also I need to mention, so basically in the head gasket job you would get the carbon cleaning as well, because the cylinder head will be sent to a machine shop, they clean it, so they clean the intake ports, so that should have been taken care of as well. However, what is not included in a head gasket job, for example, if the camshaft is worn, that is recommended to getting replaced. Also, because the engine is split in half, so basically the cylinder head is removed, the timing chain is undone. In my opinion, it is the best time you get the timing chain replaced as well, rather than putting back the old components of the timing chain. Again, it is up to the owner. And also, after the valve cover removal, I can tell if the oil sump has to be dropped. It must be dropped if we can see that the injector hole area, around the injector hole area, there is a carbon buildup because the injector washers were blowing out. So if they were blowing out, that dirt was washed down over time through the timing case, the timing cover hole in this area of the engine, and then it is sucked by the strainer, getting it blocked and cannot provide or maintain the oil pressure, which is crucial to the car. Also, another thing, the exhaust pressure sensor that is on this car, for example, is the old one that needs replacement and the pipe cleaned. During the head gasket job, we clean the pipe because the engine will be out of the car, turbo will be removed. We definitely clean the pipe, but the sensor is an extra part to be replaced. Now, let me talk about this car, particularly what I can see, what is wrong with it just by looking at it. So, obviously, head gasket, that is confirmed. I'll show you that in a bit. Wrong coolant, or the exhaust pressure sensor. I'm going to show you the live data and scan the car for fault codes. But other things I noticed, that the injectors were removed. How do I know? See the bracket, that is broken in half, meaning someone over tightened the injector nuts. They didn't use the manual and the correct torque specs for the car. Also, the valve cover may have been removed, may not. I can see the OEM silicone seal and bubble sticking out, but they could have just left it there and didn't clean the surface. I don't know until I remove the valve cover myself. And another thing I've noticed is there is an oil leak from there. I never seen that sensor, temperature sensor, letting or leaking. I'll investigate that a bit later. So these are the things I can notice just by looking at underneath the bonnet. And now let me jump in the car, the cabin, start it up, show you the fault codes and also the live data, what I can tell from the live data only, and what is the initial assessment or the initial diagnosis of this car. So 119,000 miles on the clock. Let's have a look at the fault codes. P111A, force limited power because of over temperature or overheating of the engine coolant. Now let's have a look at the live data. I want to see the exhaust pressure sensor values and the DPF values. So the DPF values are high, around 1.5 on idle. That should be 0.3. The exhaust pressure sensor values are fine, or seems to be fine, 103 at idle, which is good. But if I give it a gas or press the throttle around up to 3,500 RPM, those numbers should raise rapidly, quickly, and then once I lift off my foot from the throttle, they should go back rapidly as well. So let me do that. It doesn't look bad, so maybe the pipe is clean and maybe the sensor is reading the good values. We're going to be worried about of that after the repairs. And now let me have a look. Let's check the injector correction factors, but the engine is cold, so they will be a bit off in my opinion. It's not even bad, but anyways, we check that when the engine is up to operating temperature. However, what I want to check also, there is a discrepancy in the manifold absolute pressure sensor and the desired pressure. See, that number is 9 and the bottom is 120. So I don't know why, but the scan tool says it's always this way, and now as you can see it changed. So now they match, but before the desired was higher than the actual manifold pressure. Maybe there is a boost leak or something, or blockage in the intake system. We're going to investigate that later. We are not bothered by it at the moment. What I want to check, the DPF values, so it is halfly full or halfly close to the region, because you see the numbers 2.3. The DPF starts or triggers the region when those numbers reach, I believe, 6.5 or 7. Let's have a look when it had the last region 75 kilometers ago. Obviously we're going to check all those things again once the repairs are done. And I also wanted to show you one more data point, which is the distance since clearing of diagnostic trouble codes 1048. That I believe is kilometers, so that was done around maybe 600 miles ago. I believe what they've done is basically they just deleted the fault codes, or maybe not even deleted, I'm not sure, and then they sold the car to the current owner. I am not checking the oil pressure. I've done that already. I'm not going to show you that in this video. The reason for that, because the car is overheating, which I'm going to show you in a bit. I've checked the oil pressure and the oil pressure seems to be fine according to the scan tool because of the live data. However, we've seen that even though the oil pressure is fine on the live data, the strainer can be blocked or can be getting blocked. We will know that or can confirm that once we remove the valve cover, because if we see carbon build up around the injector hole area, if the injector washers were blowing out, we know from that we must drop the oil sump because there will be blockage of some sort in the strainer. But now let me jump out of the car, not literally go out of the car, and show you the coolant. So look at that, guys. You can see it is bubbling and is pressurizing, getting pressurized out. So the head gasket is in very bad condition on this one. It's not even 40 degrees of coolant temperature and it is already pressurizing it out. So this customer was missold big time. So this was it in this video. Stay tuned if you want to see how the head gasket repair goes and what needs to be done and what else may be or will be wrong with this car. And also, if you want to get yourself a scan tool, a decent scan tool, I'll leave a link in the description of this video. You can get it, buy it from there. I will earn a small commission in return. So yeah, feel free to get a scan tool. That is an X-Tool brand, which I use myself. You can choose any on the side, but I recommend the X-Tool D5S or maybe the D7S if you want a little bit more advanced. Obviously, you can go for a more expensive model. It is up to you. But other than that, thank you guys very much for watching and see you soon in the very next video. Until then, take care and bye bye.